Hey everybody, happy Friday. Todd McFarlane here. We're going to give you another little sketch. This one is going to be Spawn's arch villain, the clown. A lot of people actually get it wrong, I think. Not only in terms of the marking, but I think in terms of how fat he is. We're also going to be redesigning him in the coming year, so look forward to that. But let's show you sort of the old classic version of him. I've done a little bit of a rough drawing here, so I don't waste your time. We'll get up in here. And we will begin. Obviously, I always used to like to start with the eyes. I think it's cool when you start with the eyes because you can get all the sinister stuff right out of the gate. He's got the red eyes, but I usually like to give people, especially the bad guys, sort of a lot of shadows underneath the eyes. If you give them a lot of shadows, then it just seems like that they're more sinister, right? So that's why I think Marilyn Manson puts a lot of makeup on, so he just looks cooler and he looks tougher. So we'll make sure that we get the eyes in there. And then, of course, he's got to be frowning, so we'll come back in here. He'll be frowning a little bit. Remember, he's got a bald head, so we'll get there, and then we'll get into the hair. I'll show you a trick on the hair, how you can do the hair just a little bit cooler and sexier if you draw on a computer. So if you don't, then you're not gonna like what I'm gonna have to tell you. So we'll come in here. You put lines in here because these are the lines you want to put in to basically make it look like he's frowning and he's sort of crunching up his face. Look at my nose right here. If you can get close. When I do that, you get all these wrinkles here and you get them here. So that's really what you want to do. So you want to make sure that you apply some of these that come up in here. Sometimes if you want to put some warts on them, it's kind of cool, right? Just makes him look sort of nasty, like he's not taking the bath enough. We'll go down here and get a little bit faster. We'll come in here with his nose. Again, you wrinkle the nose just a little bit, right? Again, take a look at yourself in the mirror. When you actually crunch your nose, you're going to basically get these cool lines that are in there. So we'll come up in here. Again, you get these wrinkles here. Look at me, I'm getting old again. Right? And I do it. You get these little, what they call crow's feet. Right? Put some crow's feet on your guys sometimes. If they're not handsome looking people, do it. Right? So give them some ears real quick. Let's go a little bit smaller so it goes a little bit faster. And then we'll give them some ear here. Kaboom. And then we'll get up over here. Now we got to do some of the part that starts to make him actually be the clown. He's got a big smile, right? Because he always thinks that he's always going to win, but he's not. So we'll give him a bit of a smile here. And when you do that, then the wrinkles here on the face have to now go around the mouth, right? So make sure you get them around the mouth. But you don't want his mouth to be closed. You want him to get it open. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him all these little sort of cool razor teeth, right? So this just goes quick. Make sure you make the gums lower and higher, and the teeth are all erratic. Some of them are a little bit darker than others, right? Never make the teeth. I've told you before, right? When you're doing monsters and creatures and bad guys, they don't go to the dentist on a regular basis. So all this stuff has to be really inconsistent and irregular and imperfect. So for all you people out there that are always trying to hit perfection, there are moments when you're actually physically trying to actually not do it. So we'll give him some cool teeth on the bottom too. So he's got razor teeth both ways. I'll color it in just a little bit. So he's got his mouth open. So you can see a little bit of the razor teeth. And we'll go, I'm going to get a little sloppy with it because we're going to try and get this to be in a reasonable amount of time here. We'll give him a couple wrinkles here. You know, he's kind of a nasty, gnarly guy. So, again, you can put as many as you want in here. And then, since he's got sort of his fat face, we give him the big chubby cheeks up in here. We'll come up here in the chubby cheeks. Finish his mouth. And then we come in here. We got to give him the bottom lip. Now, the bottom lip always is a little bit heavier in the middle. And then you sort of come down and dip down and you come up here. Right? Don't make it all the same. Try and cut it as much as you can so that you can then come in and give him some other wrinkles up in here if you want. We're going to give him a little bit of a butt cheek chin. You've seen people with those. I don't know what they call them, but I call them butt cheek chins. And we're going to come in here. And then we now have to get wide on him. Now, here's the thing. Once you start getting wide on the jowls, you don't want to get too big. You don't want to get too fat with him because then it's not believable. You want this guy to be looking like somebody you've seen before. So if you come in here, don't get too crazy with the jowls. Don't get too crazy with the jowls. We'll come up in here. All right. So now that we've got him, we'll give him, bam, we'll give him his shirt, we'll give him his back, right? Cool. Now, here's where people mess up all the times, and I don't have a lot of detail. I put a lot of cool stuff in here. Wish I could spend like 20 minutes doing all this stuff. But here's where people mess up. The marking on his face, which is an M, goes right through the center of his eyeball, right? People keep messing that up. Some of my artists always have to do it. So if I make the M right here, boom, there it is right there through the middle of it. And the reason that I say that is because to me the marking was always like a dagger going through his eyeballs. So if I make it so that it looks like the dagger is going through his eye, then he'll be a little more sort of cool, badass looking on me. It drops down then through his eye, right? And then up over here. So again, you have to, and again, you can see I'm giving you a variation on it because again, his cheeks are rolling on him. So there's going to be a variation on how thick or thin any of this stuff is, right? Then I'll come up in here, and then I'll give him the black that's up in here, give it a little bit of a line. Yeah. Come up in here, wacko. All right, not bad. You know, since we're in the black, let's finish. He's got a black jacket, bam. There's another black jacket over here, bam. And then we'll give the outline right here. Boom, done. All right, now that we've got that, we'll go back here, finish the shirt real quick. He's got this striped shirt, but I won't belabor it too much. You guys can do whatever you want. Here's some of the wrinkles that would go in there, right? And again, if I had a lot more time, I'd be cutting, if you can see up over here, I'd be cutting some shadows in and some wrinkles, a lot of wrinkles into the black jacket so that it just seems a little more believable, right? So as I go a little bit smaller on it, it just seems like, you know, it's a little bit more realistic of what we're looking at. I don't have time to get in too much detail. I'll cut a couple. Look, watch this. Once I've got the black here, remember he's wrinkling and he's frowning. You have to cut a couple whites through it so that it feels like those lines are then going all the way through. If you don't do that, then it looks like you've sort of started and stopped and you're not getting some cool stuff in there, right? So make sure if you're going to do anything with anybody who's got any kind of markings on the face, not necessarily the clown, but that you cut a couple in there so it just feels like it's a little more realistic. Now, let's get to the hair and show you how the hair works, although it'd be cool to put some more wrinkles on this guy. All right. Anyway, so we're here. Now let's get into the hair of it, which is kind of the fun part of him a little bit. There's a couple different ways to do it, right? So let's just blow it up here and get to the top of his head. I can do it the old-fashioned way, and I do that a lot. So you come in here. He didn't have a lot of hair. I just do a little bit of tufts of stuff. And then he's got the hair on the side. I make it look like that there's sort of, you know, almost like hairs grown on warts, right? You get that sort of weird look there. And then he has the long hair that comes up over here. But there's a trick that makes you able to do this hair kind of in a cool way, and I'll show you a trick. So this is me just doing it, and if I was doing this and I had time, again, I'd be spinning it, and I'd come in here and I'd get a little bit, if you come in here, I'd be getting a little bit thinner, thick, and I'd be doing this big variety in here, and I'd really be dressing it up, and then I'd cut some white into it. But let me show you a trick that kind of looks cool too. We'll go here, I'll go up here. Here's the trick. You go, I called it hair one. You basically go all the way down here, and you've got this little icon right here that's your special effects button. And when you hit that, one of the buttons is called stroke. And if you go stroke and you use white, here's what you get. Watch this. It looks real cool. So let's go to it. And if you can see, it automatically creates an outline. It automatically creates, right here, let's look up here. It automatically creates an outline for me. So now that I go here, watch this. Now I can start throwing hair, and if I press harder, it gets thicker, and if I go thin, right, and I go thick, 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 thin, thin, thin. Now again, what happens is every time you cross one of these, it's going to basically eat into the other one. So I'll show you another quick little trick. You just do 2 levels of the stroke. Let's go here and finish some of this. Crazy, make crazy hair. Why? Because he looks manic, and he looks like he's drunk and he just got picked up. And if you look at the mugshot of Nick Nolte, it's a little bit of sort of the inspiration here. So so we get, now if I do this again and I go to this second layer, it's going to do the exact same thing, but watch what happens. Is that these hairs now are going to be on top, right? So the ones that I just did are on behind, so that now you're going to get more of a stringiness, and you're going to have basically layers, and now watch what happens. If I go back to my original drawing and I come in with a black, I can now start to paint black, and it won't touch any of what I just did with the white, but I can add a little bit of shadowing now back behind here very quickly, because it's just back behind. So, and if I had, like I said, a little more time with you good folks, we'd do it. But in the meantime, here's what we've got for you. I'll cover that up. Thanks for the lesson. We'll do another quick one next week and see if we can bring you some big news about Spawn. Thanks.